My head is killing me.
They told me the double turned out correctly. It's already finished.
What's a double?
The surrogate. They're waiting for us downstairs.
You're listening to The Night Before, a movie podcast. Each episode, we find a unique place in the city and share a drink and our thoughts about the movie we watched the night before. This is Lee, and I am joined, as always, by my husband, Jesse.
And we're recording.
And we're ready.
All right.
We're back.
For our, new episode.
New episode.
New audio episode, new video episode.
Mm-hmm. We're at circa 1949.
You got the name?
I was going to say 1942 for some reason.
Okay. Look at 1949. We've done a number of podcasts here for sure.
We have. It's like a beer garden. There's a large outdoor area, indoor area. It's Super Bowl Sunday.
Yep. Game starts in about an hour.
But we're not here for football, so
There's zero football happening on the patio, which kind of explains why there's no one on the patio.
We tried to find a place that we didn't think football would be a big thing.
Yeah. So we've done a number of episodes here. It's kind of chill.
Yeah.
Kind of relaxed.
Mm-hmm. Very relaxed. It's a little chilly out.
Yeah, it's kind of overcast.
That's why I'm trying to keep my head warm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna turn a little bit.
Because they say...
What do they say?
If your ears are warm, your whole body's warm. Or the top of your head. If your head's warm, your whole body stays warm.
So if your ears are cold, your body's cold.
Ooh, right. So that's my goal. Rather than bundling up so much.
So at Circa, they don't brew any of their own beer.
Yeah.
So we're drinking another local Tampa drink that we've had before, Juice Lord by Magnanimous.
Mm-hmm. It's a hazy IPA.
We thought about
going
podcasting from there, but this was closer, and this has the better outside spot.
It does. Yeah, the outdoor spot at Magnanimous isn't ideal. It's right on a busy road, and it's not... Plus, they had funnel cake stuff.
Oh, the food wasn't what we wanted. But
Yeah.
they did have popcorn, so we grabbed some
cheddar.
popcorn.
This is cheddar jalapeno.
And they just buy it from something, but it's good.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And the taco truck has opened up upon recording.
Yeah.
So
that's
if tacos appear later,
we have that to look forward to.
That.
It's a possibility.
For the audio, nightbeforepodcast.com, we have a website now. You can link to our video podcast. Sections of this will be cut up into video.
Mm-hmm.
We usually break out the different movies. Our Instagram links are there. Buy us a drink link is there. All the fun stuff.
I don't know if you feel like it.
But this
we'll
episode,
drink it.
Yeah, we will. We'll cheers to you.
And we will cheers to you on the podcast if you buy
so
us
choose.
a drink.
But we're doing 3 movies because we've seen 3 movies in the last
really good
day or
about
2.
Our movie watching lately.
Well, we're in the Oscars home stretch.
We are. We're trying to get a lot of the Oscar movies. I have popcorn in my mouth. A lot of Oscar movies under our belt before March 12th.
Yeah. Well, but me before that because we want to do our.
We want to do our prediction.
Well, it's
Oscar prediction.
It's not
episode.
prediction. It's
Oscar picks.
Our
what
biggest
we would
letdown,
pick.
our biggest surprise,
Right.
and what our Oscar pick would be.
Right. So
It's the Academy Be Damned special.
last year was fun. We did it from a distillery.
Yeah. So we saw 3 movies. What we'll do at the end of this episode for the audio listeners, maybe as a little cutout video. Since we're doing 3 films, Infinity Pool, which is not nominated for anything.
No, but we
Oversight
went to
on
the theater
Academy's
and saw
part,
that.
Yeah. Aftersun.
Aftersun.
And
completely different genre.
Tar.
Of movie. Mm-hmm.
Though Aftersun, we'll talk about Aftersun and Infinity Pool had some connections.
Some similar
you don't quite
themes.
expect. Well, I didn't say themes, just connections.
Okay.
And then Tar maybe had connections to Infinity Pool. Maybe Infinity Pool's the glue that brings it all together.
Right, maybe. We'll find a thematic element as we talk, I'm sure.
But since we're doing 3 movies, whenever we do 3 films, we've done this at least one other time on a podcast.
We
And
break
we did
it up.
3. No. Well, yeah, we break it up, but no.
I don't know. What do we do?
I'm about to tell you. You'd like to jump in and guess.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I do.
We did this on our Frank and Lola Vengeance
Okay.
something else podcast.
Mhm.
Those 3 movies. Oh, Incoherence.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Those 3.
Yeah.
We're going to do, at the end, we'll each share out of those 3 films,
Oh.
purchase,
Right.
which one-
Purchase,
stream, or skip.
Or skip. Yeah, got
So
it.
out of those 3, we have to say which one will we purchase, meaning that you would pay like full price, either a movie ticket
$24.99.
or you
whatever.
would,
Netflix price.
or you would, no, you would, not Netflix.
Whatever. You know what I
You-
mean.
no.
Streaming, Apple streaming
Nope.
price.
Okay. No, oh my God. All right. Purchase it, you'd pay full price.
Purchase it.
Meaning you'd buy the movie ticket or whatever the price is to see it for rental or purchase online.
Right.
Stream it, you would stream it on Netflix or Hulu
Right.
or Amazon
guess-
Prime.
I'll be
Like
honest with
it
you.
shows up on it shows up on your menu and you go, "Oh, cool, I'll see it." Boom.
I get confused on what streaming, like if you purchase a movie and you watch it online at your house, isn't that streaming?
Well, you're technically streaming the media, but it's video on demand at that point. VOD.
Okay.
Video on demand.
See, I just call all of that streaming.
But the others
Whether
are like
it's
streaming
through
services.
a service
Yeah.
or just you're streaming it in your home.
Yeah. But stream it for this game, we mean you have a streaming service. Yeah, you pay a monthly fee for that, but you're not incurring any additional cost
But you're not
to
paying
see
to see
this.
it.
Yeah, you're not incurring additional. It's not
Right,
technically
right.
free. When
Got
people
it.
go, it's free on
Got it.
Netflix.
Uh-huh.
You're paying for Netflix.
Okay.
And then skip it means, hey, one of these you're not going to be able to see. You're skipping
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Even if you think all 3 are worthy of at least stream, you gotta. That's the way the game works.
Okay.
Somebody's got to go. There's
Okay.
only room for 2 on the boat.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That's going to be
I just wanted to prepare you.
That's going to be controversial.
Mhm.
I'm thinking about it now. Ours are not going to be this
No,
same.
we're not going to line up. I can already see that.
Definitely not. So what are we starting with?
We have the potential that one of our skips will be the other person's purchase.
Potentially. Yes, potentially. Potentially. So are we starting with the first movie
We'll go
we saw?
chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for the video's sake, we can say, so the other night,
The other
we
night
saw
we saw
Infinity
Pool at the theater.
At the theater. AMC.
AMC.
We were given a real choice.
Mm-hmm.
We thought about seeing The Whale.
The Whale at Tampa Theater.
Tampa Theater.
Or
Or
Infinity
I said to
Pool.
you, the movie I'm really excited to see is Infinity Pool. I would rather see that.
And then I said,
Yeah.
of course, if you're more excited, and it's the comfier seats.
Yeah.
AMC is a better movie watching experience. Although we love Tampa Theater, Friday night it was a Thursday night. I don't
Yeah, it
know.
was a work night. It was like during the week.
Comfier seats that evening seemed appealing.
Yeah.
So we went for that.
And we saw it.
And we saw it. And what'd you think?
Brandon Cronenberg directed it,
Yes.
who's David Cronenberg's
Who you love,
son.
the Cronenberg movies.
I appreciate
overall.
him.
Uh-huh.
We really liked as the Matt here at the brewery,
Mm-hmm. The bartender,
bartender,
beer tender,
beer tender, beer gardener.
gardener of beer.
He said, ooh, did you see Possessor?
Possessor.
I had an
And
R
that's
in
a
there.
Cronenberg movie. And we did.
A Brandon Cronenberg.
We did. Yeah.
We never podcast about it. But we saw that last year. Really liked it. It's on Hulu right now to stream. I've been meaning to just go back and see it again.
Okay.
But Possessor was surprisingly good.
Yeah. It was.
Really gory,
But we liked it.
but really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I feel Infinity Pool was Brandon Cronenberg's like, okay, we'll give you a bigger movie.
Yeah.
And they did.
They did.
And the word on the
Infinity
street
Pool-
is people either like you love this or hate this type movie.
Mm-hmm. And did you love or hate it? I
When we
can't say
saw
I'm
it,
that extreme.
I know. No,
I
when-
didn't hate it.
You didn't hate it, which is
I
good.
didn't
Unlike
love it.
unlike the lady in the theater when she was like, "What'd you think of that one?" as she was walking out.
I liked it. I thought it was an enjoyable experience. I thought it was a different kind of movie. There were things I didn't love about it, but there were things that I really liked. It made you, I mean, you'll remember it. It's not, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. When we were watching it, and by the end of it, I really liked it. As I sat with it more, my appreciation and love for it increases.
Yeah, I think
It
so.
grows.
As we've been away from it. Like walking out of the theater, I was like, okay, this is done. All right, we got this over with. Like that was a lot. I had to process a little more.
A lot of processing in that.
A lot of processing involved because it was bloody.
Well,
And
yeah,
gory.
Cronenberg, just like Possessor, is really bloody and gory.
Weird, but it was really like a psychological thriller type movie.
Yeah, but so it's funny for the video. I was thinking of calling. I even said it in the theater for this video segment, and I think we probably did. I guess they'll see it. We'll see if we actually did this.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, we got to call the video for Infinity Pool. We try to talk about Infinity Pool without talking about Infinity Pool.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to fully give it away.
No, you definitely don't want to give it away because this is a movie you want to see for yourself. You don't want to give any.
But here's the
But
thing.
it's hard to talk about it without giving it away.
But here's the great thing about it. The movie itself, the trailer, some of the advertisements, you know enough that it presents itself that it's like a body double movie.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I thought it was.
And
It's not.
No,
It's not.
It's not even that.
When
But
you
here's-
watch the trailer, you think that's what it is. You're like,
But
okay,
here's the
I've
thing.
kind of seen something like this before. I don't remember what
well, we
movie.
saw the Aaron Paul movie Duel. Remember?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
It's like the girl has to die. Thinks she's dying, so they make a copy of her.
Yes.
But then she's actually gets better. She doesn't have terminal cancer.
Right.
And then her double is still alive, and so she has to have a duel with her double.
Yeah.
Which that kind of was like just kind of a dark comedy
Yeah.
deal.
But
this
this
one,
is not a body double movie.
no, but the body double, plural,
Doubles.
are throughout the whole movie.
Or should we say triples or quadruples?
I know, but it's not about that.
Mm-mm.
And you think, oh, this is a movie based on the trailer, because the basic premise is they're foreigners, they're Americans in a foreign
Traveling.
country.
Vacation.
They commit a crime,
By accident.
an accidental homicide, but still a crime. And all this is like set up in the trailer.
They get put in jail, and
And the way you-
consequence is death for a crime in this country.
Yes. It's
For
sort of
a
like
crime of killing
it's
someone.
like an arm for an arm type deal.
Yeah.
But they have this thing where they're like, we can make an exact replica of you. And the family
For a large amount of money.
a large sum of money.
Yeah.
And the family who was wronged, they will get to execute you, murder you.
And
But you have to watch your own execution.
And it was confusing to me at first because I didn't know that that was part of the deal, that you had to watch your own execution, and that the family of the victim didn't know that. I didn't realize that the family of the victim knew that that wasn't the real person.
Yeah.
So that was a little confusing to me. I was like, the family's sitting right there, and they're sitting like right behind them, and they don't know that he's not really killing
But here's the thing.
the person.
As the movie even brings up, they talk about
Or was it?
the anxiety of do you actually know you're the real one or the
Right.
copy? Did they switch you out?
Because she first says after the first time,
Mhm.
how did you just sit there and watch
Yeah,
yourself
watch that.
with
There's a
no
lot of
emotion
questions
like
about
a
it.
robot?
Yeah.
You know? So then you're like, ooh, well, is it really him or is it not? How could you see yourself being murdered and have really show no emotion towards it?
But what's fascinating is that's really not what the movie's about.
No, I can't wait for you to say what the movie's about because this is like the third movie podcast with this similar theme, and you love saying this line. So say it. Get
Well,
it out.
I'll
Get it
to-
out of your system.
Well, it is, and it's kind of an Eat the Rich movie.
That's it.
It's Eat the Rich.
That's it. That's it.
And initially, it's funny. I was thinking that there might actually be some eating of the rich,
Mhm.
literally.
But there's not.
And here's the other thing. There's not. And this whole body double thing, the movie makes no effort to explain it, this technology.
No, you really have to figure. I mean, you don't really figure it out. They step into this infinity pool of blood, I guess. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
basically, it's a room that fills up with a substance that looks like blood.
But what I like about it is at one point when Alexander Skarsgård is being presented with this
Idea.
option.
Mhm.
You're like the viewer, you're thinking, wait a minute, how does this work? Right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't get this.
But they never explain
And
it.
Alexander Skarsgård's character, he kind of says the same thing. He's like, what? I don't understand.
Why?
And he's like, do you want the alternative?
Right. He's like, sign on the line. And when he's saying, sign on the line, I'm looking at the documents. It's all in a different
And it's
language.
not even like, it's not even
I'm
different.
like
It's
so
like,
stressed about that. I'm like, he doesn't even know what he's signing.
but I took that
Like,
too as
that's-
for the viewer, right? Like, look, this is just what it is. Like, go along with it.
Die or do this.
He's going to die. We're not going to
Right.
explain how it
so
works.
it doesn't, what could be worse, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
But I'm saying a lot of movies would try to go to pains to, or at least drop ways to say, how is this possible?
mhm.
And the movie, he meets a group of individuals who have experienced the same thing.
Mhm.
And they are, you know, there's a little bit of chatter about like, how does this work? We don't fully get it either.
Mhm.
But that's all the movie really does about it.
Yeah.
Because that's why I said that's what's great about it. It's not about any of that. And truly understanding how it works. It's not living and dying on that premise. It's just saying, oh, this is just something that happens here.
And it goes into like the psychological degradation, I guess, degradation of watching yourself being murdered. How psychologically this thing deteriorates their relationship with his wife. How psychologically it just deteriorates the human nature in general, like your outlook on life and then the other part of it, it's a movie showing how people who have enough money to do anything can pay for anything.
All right.
Right?
Yeah, no, you brought up two things.
They can pay. There's a lot of different things going on,
So
I
many
feel
things.
like.
Yeah, and there's even more.
And if you can pay for anything and there's no consequences,
Yeah.
seemingly, besides the psychological degradation of your life,
Mhm.
but there's no consequences. You don't get put to jail, you don't get murdered, you don't get whatever, then what does that do to you as a person?
Yeah.
Right? That's
So,
kind of
yes.
what I got out of it.
Yes. That's why it is the best Eat the Rich movie that has come out this year.
Well, yeah, it's extreme.
But I think it does the best, most realistic, because here's what the others do, right? The Menu is the worst culprit of them. I think the Menu is the worst one out of all of them.
Yeah.
But the
for
Menu
sure.
is the worst culprit. But some of the other stuff we've talked about with Eat the Rich, and Triangle of Sadness, we loved it. but-
I really like Triangle Swimming.
The other, like, it was holding the Eat the Rich crown.
Mhm.
But both of those were outwardly judgmental in their take on it.
Right.
Right? It's
People were like,
the Menu, that's what I said, was the worst at it. They're like, here are the bad people,
yeah,
here are the good
here are
people.
the good people. Yeah.
The Triangle of Sadness blurred
Blended
it a bit.
it a little bit.
But
yeah.
it was still very obvious, like, because he had the role reversals. By the time they're at the island, you get to
Yeah.
really see it.
Yeah.
Infinity Pool, they don't pass judgment on, are these people good or bad?
Right.
They're just saying these people are, and they will continue to be.
Right. Yeah.
And I thought that was so much better than making it a morality play, making it a judgment on, like, again,
Well, we did.
who's all about eating the
still
rich?
did
Me.
like the Menu. It had the one person that was kind of out of place. Alexander Skarsgård was kind of out of place because he married money. That's why it. Well, I don't want to talk about the end, but
No, but I get that. But
he
here's the
married
difference.
money. He was living that lifestyle
But
and
he's not
completely into
triumphantly
that
eating a
lifestyle.
cheeseburger at the end of the movie.
No, 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 no.
He is sitting in bewilderment
Yes.
at the end because
So we're talking about the ending,
no, without giving it away.
right?
He's sitting there realizing.
Yeah.
That's what I said. They will be, they are, the rich are, will be, and will continue to be.
Right.
Right? Where
Well, he's sitting in bewilderment, and he doesn't. Well, I think he's sitting in
He's
bewilderment
defeated.
that these people can just go back to everyday life, like going to the grocery store
that's what I mean when I
and
keep saying
cleaning the house
it will
and
continue to be.
going to whatever
Where
party on
The
Friday
menu
night.
and Triangle of Sadness.
But I'm not sure that he can go back to normal life
No,
because
that's-
he wasn't originally
Exactly.
part of that rich culture.
Exactly.
Because he married into it.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. The other two movies knocked them down a peg. It's like, oh, we've taught the rich and powerful and the elite a lesson. Look,
Yeah.
we've poked fun at them
Hmm.
and we won.
Right.
They're like David and Goliath stories at the end of the
Mhm,
day,
mhm.
and they feel good to watch. Why does the menu connect with so many people? Because they're like, oh yeah, down
I don't
with
feel good watching them.
down with those people, right?
Yeah.
Because it's easier to just take the side of the other and then
Say I'm not
actually
like them.
actually do the exact opposite, right? Tar brings up a great line later early in the movie, like
Mhm.
it's so easily to be offended, it's so easily to take this like
Mhm.
self-righteous path,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
You're raised on social media.
Yeah.
So this movie instead, Infinity Pool, it's like it's so bleak. It's just
Mhm. Yeah.
it is what it is.
It is.
And if you're the unfortunate pawn to get pulled into this,
Yeah.
you will suffer.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the other piece when you were like about relationships. It's about the person you become. Again, it's not a morality movie, but it's the person you become when you get sucked in to a place and people and crowd. And you hear the thing, you're the company you keep.
You are the company you keep.
But when you get-
You're what you read. You're what you consume. You're the company you're around.
When you're
and
the
that's what it's about.
when you're
really.
when you're out of your element, when you're the stranger in a strange land, which is what this movie
Yeah.
is, you're the one who loses.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's what this movie shows. So it's you lose the ones who you love and they're close to you, like his wife of 10 years,
Yeah.
which it instantly falls apart in a day, 2 days.
Yeah,
one,
and they
one,
do
one
give-
rough moment, like one. I mean,
Right.
it's a pretty big deal.
Pretty big deal. Well, they do give hints into the fact that their marriage isn't that strong.
Yeah.
She says things like, "Well, he married well. He,
Yeah.
he."
But like you said, he's always been the outsider.
She's the one that keeps a roof over their head.
even
and
at the beginning of their marriage.
he's an author.
He's
a writer.
Yeah, kind of a failed writer.
It truly is the parallelism between losing yourself to addiction or whatever it is, adrenaline, risk, gambling, whatever it is, and literally losing yourself, like murdering yourself, watching yourself be murdered. When you dive into addiction and behaviors like they were diving into, you're literally killing yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, surely.
when you see people that,
Yeah, they're on like a destructive path.
yeah. So it's like,
Now,
and he keeps watching himself being killed over and over and
well, not
over
over.
again.
It happens a number of times.
A number of times.
But even this, like I said, on the Eat the Rich part, it gets in this fascination of the rich and the powerful always wanting more and more.
Right.
It reminded me a little bit, which I don't want to get into it. I don't think it's a movie you've seen, but there's a movie 20 years ago or so, Hostel.
Sounds
about-
familiar, but I can't think.
Rich individuals who go to like Eastern Europe and whatnot, and they pay to kill someone. But it's just like the rich and powerful do it.
I mean,
this was
people
much better than
do
that.
now. Like, people do behaviors like that. People go to other countries and pay
Yeah,
to
to do like
have
these
sex with like
unthinkable things.
like under minor
Yeah.
girls and stuff, and That's kind of the same thing. Like, should you be able to pay to do that? No.
Yeah.
It's destructive.
To wrap up our Infinity Pool talk, we haven't even mentioned the standout performance in this movie. The person.
I'm not a huge fan of Mia Goth.
Okay, no, you don't have to be a huge fan of Mia Goth, but I don't think you can argue. Prove me if I'm wrong. That you can argue against the fact that she is
Spooky. Creepy.
You can say those words.
What is the word to describe her? She is
Well,
haunting.
Yes, for her character, it is she commands the screen. Like
Definitely.
she
she plays a crazy person really well.
But here's the thing. Alexander Skarsgård, good-looking guy. His character is confident enough. Mm-hmm. But her performance is so good that you believe anything of how he's sort of like the second she shows up on screen and just meets him and talks to him in the crowd, you instantly say like, oh, I see why he's like enthralled and by her.
She's captivating.
Yeah.
She's captivating. She's very sexual. She's very like crazy. And it's believable. All of it. And you see a lot of Mia Goth in this movie.
We do.
Like,
we thought
you do in every movie
but here's the thing.
she's in.
We heard there was a lot of talk about Pearl.
She's beautiful, but she's also has like a strange face.
Yeah. Well, it's like the kind of lack of eyebrows or really light colored eyebrows.
I think it's like her mouth or something.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of her mouth in this movie when
I'm
she's
not going to say
it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
But the best scene is her.
I cannot even listen to you do that after the movie. Like
when she's yelling from the car and he's on the bus and she's calling him.
Oh gosh.
Calling James. Oh my God. We thought Pearl had great moments, right? Where Pearl was an obvious, like over the top caricature of this like Technicolor type movie actress style. Mm-hmm. People need to be talking about Mia Goth in Infinity Pool. I think it's a much better performance.
She's really great. Yeah, she's really great.
And a whole nother element to this film is all about the demasculization of the male.
Of the male, yeah, that's
the whole mother figure and the return to the womb.
Yes.
And just wanting to
vulnerability. Once you put yourself, vulnerability.
And this like domination and control and all this stuff. And it's that whole element to the movie is fascinating.
It is, yeah. And there was a lot of male parts being shown.
Yeah, but it's all like,
but none of it was. All of it was demasculating.
Yeah, and the whole path for him, James character, Skarsgård's character, was that it was exploiting male fantasy from the beginning.
Right.
But that she, from the very beginning, one of the very early scenes there on the beach, where she literally grabs hold
of his penis.
His manhood, I was going to say, and his male fantasy, and controls it. And she controls it. Even though she controlled him prior to that, it was just sort of like the obvious symbol of it.
Right. Yeah. That was shocking.
And that was
a shocking part.
It's just a path towards
unexpected.
His losing
control,
any sort of masculinity.
Yeah.
Towards her.
He just is
in general
a dog, basically. For lack of better.
And speaking of which, the last thing I'll end, I think it was at the film premiere or something, but Alexander Skarsgård did show up somewhere for the movie premiere thing wearing a dog collar and a leash.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he eccentric like that?
I never thought
in real life?
I mean, he was dressed nicely, but it was a nice, funny nod and wink to the movie.
The interesting part, too, I thought, not about the movie, but after the movie, we went to our Latin food truck place.
Pryor.
Oh, Pryor. And we brought our
some really
Peruvian sandwich into the theater. But we looked up Alexander Skarsgård's family, and there is
Yeah.
so many Skarsgård people that
Yeah.
are like
Mhm.
models and actors. They're
Mhm.
like the European Hemsworths.
Yeah.
And they're all good looking. They're all famous. And
Yeah.
there's like 6 of them.
I bet.
One being a sister.
All right. So I think we chatted enough about the infinity pool.
Yeah, we did. Oh, it's good.
It's right there.
Oh,
But yeah, I'm definitely
got it.
like Possessor. I'm eager to see it again.
Mhm.
And for Brandon Cronenberg, I think that's a huge thing. Like, you can do these sort of weird body horror type movies, but it's really, I don't know, it's coming at him from a really like interesting angle. Everything's not so heavy-handed, even though it's in your face shocking. I feel there's depth in the conversation about.
And we've
stuff.
talked before about going into a movie kind of blind. I feel like I went into this movie kind of blind. I mean, I had little
We've
bits.
seen the trailer 2 or 3
Yeah,
times.
I had little bits of knowledge about it, but I don't watch trailers as intently as you do. So that was kind of fun for me to go into it blindly.
We really thought it was just going to be
A body double.
Body double, weird society movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And there were times, like I said, I don't want to get into it. We're done with it. But there were times when it was doing certain things. Like all the little heists that they would do, the sort of late night drunken escapades, crime things.
But that led into that message of there's no consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so the stakes keep getting bigger and bigger.
It would present this scenario like, I'm like, why are they doing this?
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh, I see. Like you said, it's just to show it's how you have to escalate the thrills.
So what do you do if there's no consequences? What gets you excited? What gets you feeling powerful, in control? Like you said, maybe that's a way they are gaining control.
And they just wanted to play toy tourists for
I think it's nice that we share the same sky.
What do you mean?
Well, like, sometimes at playtime, I look up to the sky, and if I can see the sun, then I think about the fact that we can both see the sun, so even though we're not actually in the same place and we're not actually together, we kind of are in a way, you know? Like, we're both underneath the same sky, so kind of together.
So for our next movie, it's kind of appropriate. Now that the sun's gone down, we can talk about it.
Aftersun.
Because it's Aftersun.
Aftersun, yeah.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
Why is it called Aftersun? I mean, I didn't even put you on the spot. I don't have an answer either.
I don't know. Well, after the sun goes down, he kind of like loses himself a bit. Maybe that's it. He kind of keeps it together for her.
What's the actor's name for Aftersun here? Let's pull that up. I don't have my phone usually because we're recording on it. But Aftersun is nominated
For Best Picture, right? Or Best Actor?
I think it's both. Is it up for Best Picture too?
I don't think it's up for Best Picture. I think it's just up for Best Actor, right? Or no?
There's like 20 films nominated for Best Picture.
Where are the people in it?
You don't do this every day like me.
I'm sorry.
Constantly,
I don't do this every day. I do not. Okay, here we go. Paul Mescal.
Who
we've seen him. I saw him in a series I really like called.
This is what you do. You just had his name up, so you're like, I'm gonna not click on it.
It was Irish. The series. I really enjoyed it. It was like they were in college. I think it was based on a book.
Yeah, Normal People.
Normal People. It was based on a book. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good.
He was in that. So I don't know. Maybe this movie is up for Best Picture as well.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe it was just up for Best Actor for him. But I could be wrong about that. I don't know.
You're not saying any words.
Oh, so anyway, Aftersun. Let me start talking about Aftersun. So Aftersun, I mean, this is a movie after my own heart. Like, I love movies like this that just kind of touch you on the heart. Like, it's about him and his daughter
Mm-hmm.
kind of going on a vacation, seemingly maybe their last vacation ever. Even though she doesn't really know that. He's divorced from her mom. He's a young dad. Obviously had her young.
Yeah.
But
That
she's
was-
about
mhm.
11 years old, I think, in the movie. The little girl, I felt, did a great job in the movie for a child actress.
Mhm.
She really did well. And it's basically about kind of
You're right. It's not a best picture nod. It's just best actor.
his demons. He's succumbing to his demons. I think he's decided he doesn't want to go on with life. You kind of get that message throughout the movie, although it doesn't throw it in your face in any way.
Yeah.
He is kind of taking this last vacation with his daughter before he kills himself, is what it
guess you're
seems,
just
even
jumping
though
right
they
into it
don't
all
they
in
don't
here.
tell you that, though.
Well, I think.
I think the whole time from the very beginning you're trying to figure that out.
Well-
You know it's something to that effect.
It's his last summer that he spent with his daughter. It's the
Right.
daughter's last memory of her last summer with her father.
And I guess it's from her perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't focus on her solely, but it's more her.
Yeah. It's more from her perspective.
No, it had an interesting premise, or I don't want to say gimmick or style. He used like the old,
Video camera.
digital video cameras that still
yeah.
recorded on a tape,
Mm-hmm.
but it's digital video, not a VHS tape. And it starts off with a lot of that, right? Because he had purchased this camcorder for their trip,
Mm-hmm.
and he was recording video, and then and there was a lot of him
And some of her memories are because of that video.
because of the video, like it was so that part was interesting and fascinating.
The way it was filmed.
That they would cut to some of that scenes from that,
Mhm.
rewinding him, kind of staring at it at night, like watching the videos he made. So all that was neat.
And their relationship was very sweet, very endearing, very real, as far as like a divorced kind of situation occurs. He's like the
was-
fun dad, basically.
Yeah, but not even that. It was like he was sweet and endearing, but they didn't seem. He also seemed to be disconnected from her.
Oh, for sure. But he also doesn't take care of her year round. So
And it felt like he
I-
was at a turning point where, like, his little girl was gone.
and he was
and-
letting her have more independence because maybe he wasn't going to be around. I don't know.
No, I
like-
viewed it as he could have been disconnected, but he just wasn't. No, I think you're going this thing point of like, oh, this is going to be my last time with her. I don't think that's the movie. I think it is
I do.
him realizing through that summer, through
Mhm.
that trip with her, that time with her, that he didn't, in this moment in his life, he didn't belong anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
He didn't belong. This
Oh
was
no,
his.
I agree with that. I
but-
don't know if it was decided at the beginning of the vacation,
No, no,
before the
I think it
vacation, or
was-
throughout the vacation.
I think it's throughout. It's
And
the,
I can agree with that. I can see that.
I think
But
it's
you're
the,
kind of led on that realization with him
yeah. I
through
think
the tapes.
you're just like
yeah,
it's the mystery of like what happened to him.
yeah.
I
It's
think
like it doesn't
it's-
throw it in your face what actually happens.
I think
but-
in life you have these moments, like you think about life and you think about kids, or you think about family, or you think about relationships. And everything really just happens in small, like monumental things happen in small moments
Mm-hmm.
in your life. Like you think you have like time with your kids for 20 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you really only have these like short moments in time,
Right.
right? Like when he's swimming in her within the beach, this is the last time it's ever really going to happen, regardless of what happens to him or not.
Right.
Like she's
Maybe.
never going to be in this spot in her life
Oh,
again.
right. As a little girl.
And he's never going to
and
be
we
in this
know
spot
this.
as a father.
And it goes away faster than you
Yeah.
think it's going
And
to.
that's and I
Because they
think
grow up overnight.
and I think he was having trouble getting out of that moment. And it's interesting from a kid's point where you know you have a parent who is distant and disconnected from everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that you kind of just have to like be strong and move on and be your
Yeah.
own person. And I thought
Yeah.
that was what was interesting about the movie.
Yeah, she definitely handles him well. Her
Yeah.
dad, who's a little off, he's a little weird, as she says.
Mhm.
He,
Well, because he's not a father.
right, he's protective, but he's not. He's distant, you know?
So this was like a mixed bag movie for me. It was like good because of the sentimentality of it all. It was good because of some of the artistic choices.
Mm-hmm. I got a hair in my mouth.
But at the same time, it was also like I felt it was purposely vague.
Yeah.
To be purposely vague.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say some of that's like, oh, from the child's view, they won't fully understand.
Yeah, I agree. Once it ended, I was a little frustrated because I wanted, when a movie ends, I like to know what happens. Like I want to know what happened. But when it ended the way it did, vaguely, in a vague manner, I guess you should say, I thought, well, this is her. Think about when you were 11. You don't remember all the details and you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
understand why adults did what they did or what happened in a situation. You don't really fully get it. And if it's from her perspective, it was very it ended well.
Yeah. I think what I mean too, the vagueness of it, the ending, I prefer ambiguous endings more times than not
I know
because
you do.
they let you, again, it's, to me, it's more about the film,
They let
less
you
about
decide.
the story.
Mm-hmm.
But what I mean by vagueness too was they regularly, they did a lot of either flashbacks to this nightclub he's at. It never really pays off and explains that.
No, it doesn't.
And it does one or two like slips.
I thought at least that would come to fruition.
Yeah, like oh, this kind of was an important moment.
Right.
and
is the moment he collapsed on drugs and his wife left him?
Yeah.
Like, is it the moment that he?
Or he died, and that's when he died in the club after his daughter went back home.
Right.
Right.
I mean,
because he just
and
did
that was
excessive
that
partying.
his daughter looking at him, not the wife, who you kind of think throughout maybe that's his ex-wife that
Yeah.
he's in, because it
But-
seems like a flashback.
But what I also mean, there was also a number of really brief, like, time jumps where it was like, oh, this is when the daughter's grown up.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah.
when he's at a different time than what is right now.
Some of that fell out of place.
But I just mean it just was
feel.
like purposely vague, like, okay, let's put a little mysteries in here, but it's not coherent enough or done in a way that you can piece it
Yeah.
together or understand why it's there.
Right.
When you have this interesting VH or camcorder element to the movie,
Mhm.
and that does kind of get left off after the first act.
Yeah.
Because that was part of what I thought, oh, this might be a movie about, yeah, like you said, the memories, which is an interesting thing, right?
Mhm.
The memories you have of a person, of a parent, are somewhat dictated by this electronic recording you have of them,
Yeah.
which don't paint the full picture, and that you have to fill the rest in yourself.
Yeah.
And what is
What is true?
what is
not
influencing
true.
what? That's kind of a more interesting movie.
And I think from people I know, actually, that their parents have passed away at a young age, younger than 11. really the younger, the more this happens, is that they paint their parents as like perfect people
Yeah.
that don't make mistakes. Luckily, you know, she's filling in the gaps. She's figuring it out. She obviously loved her dad very much, but she could see his flaws. And as an adult, she's figuring things out now that she understands a little bit more, as we all do with our
Yeah.
parents. We figure things out about them from an adult perspective.
And I appreciated the subtlety of the movie, like of the performances. Like there wasn't a lot of dialogue back and forth. A lot of kind of looking and just kind of laying around.
Which is realistic.
Which is realistic.
when
I
you're
appreciate all that stuff. That was good.
hanging out one-on-one with a kid.
It was just, I guess sometimes you think a movie's gonna hit a little harder.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And I'm a crier.
what's kind of, I couldn't.
I'm emotional. And I thought, and I had heard from a friend that she just like cried so much during this movie. And I am a crier. Like things hit me.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I felt something in this movie. Definitely felt, I don't know, empathetic, sadness, whatever it is. But I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, this movie just like hit me in the heart. I didn't feel that.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that. But I do think Paul Mescal did a great job.
Yeah, as did the
acting.
young girl.
I don't think he's going to win Best Actor. But
No.
we'll save that for our picks.
We don't pick best actor on our show.
What?
We don't pick best actor or actress on our
Oh, we
podcast.
only pick the Best Picture?
We pick biggest surprise, biggest letdown,
Right.
and what
I
we
forgot.
think. Yeah,
Sorry.
sorry.
We'll get to that
It's
episode.
not a big Oscar show. It's just a thing.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so Aftersun, it's like a small film. It's interesting. But that's about where I was at with it.
Yeah, the small film that was interesting. It, you know, I do like that kind of genre of film.
Yeah.
Like, in general.
No, I
The flawed parent.
and the connection to
The
Infinity
connection
Pool.
of
And I think I said it while we were watching.
the descent
No,
of oneself.
the Infinity Pool folks picked a much better resort to hang out at.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. They were at this, like, all-inclusive, like, cheap resort, you know? Of course, which is more realistic.
No, I only say that because of all the shenanigans they got into an
Mhm.
Infinity Pool.
Mhm. Yeah. But
I don't even think I saw an Infinity Pool at the Aftersun resort.
no. I mean, how many resorts have you been to with an infinity pool?
I mean, too many to count.
Along with your chef and personal
Yeah.
trainer?
Too many to count. All right, let's check our camera for
Okay.
our low light, and then let's talk about Tar.
Is that supposed to be
The problem
beeping?
with enrolling yourself as an ultrasonic epistemic dissident is that if Bach's talent can be reduced to his gender, birth country, religion, sexuality, and so on, then so can yours. Now, someday, Max, when you go out into the world and you guest conduct for a major or minor orchestra, you may notice that the players have more than light bulbs and music on their stands. They will also have been handed rating sheets, the purpose of which is to rate you. Now, what kind of criteria would you hope that they would use to do this? Your score reading and stick technique or something else?
Last night we watched Tar,
Last night we watched Tar.
the most remarkable film
All right, everyone.
of 2022.
Max's criteria. Let's consider Max's.
I disagree.
Hmm.
But I liked it.
No, yeah.
I don't think I liked it as much as you did.
So you're assuming I liked it.
I know you liked it.
Why would I? Okay, why did I like Tar?
I don't know why you liked it so much. I mean, there was a lot of symbolism in it. It was well put together. She did a great job acting.
Kate Blanchett is really good in it.
She's great in it.
She'll probably win.
She's great. She probably will
Okay.
win Best Actress, and she deserves it. I'm not saying I didn't like it because
Yeah.
her acting wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. She was great in it.
Yeah.
Really good. Captivating. Again, I use that word again. Captivating.
Yeah.
She stole the movie.
Well, it's her movie. She's in it.
It's her movie.
I
She's
think
Tar.
She has to be in.
She
has
is
to be
Tar.
in every scene, I think.
For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, she's great. Yeah. But
why did I like it though?
why? Tell me.
No,
Tell me
I'm asking
why,
you.
and I'll. I mean,
No, I thought Tar was.
I mean, I know why you liked it. It was a good movie,
I thought
but
it
you
was-
liked it.
Okay. As someone who really likes Infinity Pool, which we talked about recently,
Mm-hmm.
not that everything has to be over the top,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't know. Maybe there should be something to subtlety. I think Tar, I would have liked Tar more if it just like really went for it. Right?
Yeah.
Like this had, which we both read the Slate article about it.
Mm-hmm.
This had kind of a Black Swan vibe,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah.
Right? We talked a little bit about the descent into madness
Mm-hmm.
and all that and guilt.
For sure.
Um,
And how your past transgressions can take over you, basically, was.
so I think Tar
her
said some
issue.
really interesting things.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But if you're not interested in that discussion, then Tar's not a movie for you. And I like Infinity Pool. I don't think it picked a side. I think it presented an interesting argument.
All right, there's certain things I liked more about Tar. So there's a couple different things going on
Yeah.
in Tar.
Yeah.
There's the two main things for me were the cancel culture issue.
Okay, first question. Is this the best cancer culture movie made?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with that. This
Sure.
is one reason I like it.
Yes.
This is the best cancer culture movie made because, like my problems with the menu and even Triangle Sadness a little bit, this doesn't truly pick a side.
No, it doesn't. I mean,
All the others villainize, which rightly so. These are bad people who did bad things to folks on these other
they
cancel culture
villainize
movies.
her, but
They do, but they don't.
but
They present an out. They present the humanity of her because Tar is not a monster.
no.
But so often in cancel culture is you either a monster or you're not a monster.
Right.
And that you should, and it's presenting the argument, you should be based on the merits of your art. At what point does the merit of your art and the transgressions of your personality, personal life, at what point does one overtake the other, right?
Yeah,
And
I
I grant, you can make arguments. There's certain people in
The
society,
cancel culture thing, I agree, goes too
but
far.
there's certain people in
Like,
society,
I mean,
their transgressions far outweigh their art.
of course.
I'm not saying that at all, but there is this movie I felt presented the grayness of it and the
Right.
guilt of the transgressor.
Yeah, I mean the most what I liked about it the most was the showing the internal struggle and guilt of the transgressor.
Yeah.
They don't show that in movies.
That's what I mean. That's why I felt this was
as
the better
much.
film.
So I liked that part of it, like getting it overtook her. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
So much so that's the Slate article's
Right.
argument of and a kind of the minority conversation about this movie is at some point does this movie is just all about her psychological
descent,
descent
yeah.
and not some of these things maybe didn't actually happen.
Didn't actually happen, just in her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminded me of,
That's why I brought up Black Swan. It reminded me of Black Swan a bit.
I can't think of it now, but I'm thinking of an old book I read.
Oh, and a book. White Oleander.
No.
I've never read the book. I don't know. It just seems like a book that would
Can't
have
think of
some
it right
sort of
now,
interesting
but
thing.
it's just like the psychological descent of.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I didn't like about
What
it,
do you
or
like
what
about
I
it?
think people are making too much about it as,
Ooh.
this movie, not in the same way, but this is the same movie that has been done a million times about men, but without the
But here's the flip
without
side.
part.
They did it
of
with the lesbian.
That's why everybody loves it. And to me, that's cliche. You know, like, okay. We're all doing that now. I
Mhm.
love it.
Yeah.
I'm all into
Well,
that. I get that. Like in Aftersun, the little girl grows up to be a lesbian. We want everybody represented
Mhm,
equally.
mhm,
I 100% like that. But this is the same movie as the man in power that takes advantage of younger women, that is uninterested in his marriage and his child. But it happens to a woman, so it's much more intriguing because a woman is doing it. And to me, that's a little like, okay.
Yeah.
It's still the same thing.
Well, it's like,
I don't care if it's a woman or a man. It's still the same thing, and it's annoying that it's much more. So here's the question. Does the public have more empathy
yes.
for a lesbian woman
Yes.
that does that
I'm gonna
than
say
a man?
yes. Yes.
And is that right?
I'm not going to say, I don't think that's right. And that's why I think Tar does a good.
Because she's doing the same thing that
Yes.
these white, powerful men that everyone, is canceling, right? And I'm not saying they're right or we shouldn't cancel them, but she's doing, and she's an artist. So do we have more sympathy for her because she's an artist and she's a woman?
Yeah.
But she's doing the exact same
I
thing.
know.
She's preying on young, vulnerable women.
Yep.
Just like old, white, powerful men do.
Yeah.
So is the movie...
And then she's ruining their career if they...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this isn't a movie that hasn't been done before. There are aspects of it, like the psychological descent of the transgressor that hasn't been shown before in a movie. But this isn't a movie that hasn't been done
That's
before.
what I mean. That's why I liked... Yeah, I agree with you. And I agree. It's that piece of like, oh, it's, one could say it's refreshing. Like, oh, it's not a male for a change. But
right.
What I did like about it was early on, there's the scene about Bach.
I felt myself. I just got fired up about
I know
that.
you did.
Ooh.
This is the most heated you've been since Mank.
I gotta take a breath. Mank. I have forgotten about that movie.
Speaking about cancel culture, there's an early scene in the movie about Bach, right?
Yeah,
and a young student who says, as a homosexual male of color or whatnot, I can't appreciate Bach
because of his
transgressions, if you will. And she goes off on him. And she does
says,
this.
Can't art be separated from a person's personal life? Like, do we not appreciate the art just because?
At what
this
point
person
are you rating their
wasn't
stuff?
a great person? And I really like that argument.
The movie creates an
that.
interesting question about it, right? And I think there is a line at some point when you're like, hey, this is somebody who makes terrible stuff, does great stuff, but does terrible things. At what point do you have to be like, yeah, I'm not interested? But where's that line? And where does like personal issues come into it? So the movie, like Infinity Pool, that's over the top and in your face a bit, this is much more subtle. There's a continual thing about that, about don't judge on appearances, don't judge on personality, right? How do they audition the folks for the orchestra? It's behind a wall. Like you can't see the person playing, so you can't do that. But then we see her.
Yeah, but
we see her
people.
handpicked because she knows the shoes of the Russian cellist. But my point is, it still brings up an interesting discussion. Again, I don't think it's necessarily picking sides about it. It's not telling you. It's not like these other films like Bombshell or She Said or all that stuff, right? These other films where it's from the victim's perspective. And of course you support the victim.
Right.
But like you said, we've seen that movie.
This isn't from the victim's
From
perspective.
No, you don't even
It's from
know
her
you don't even see the victim. You see
Yeah.
the person. And so it presents that interesting question at the gray area of it all. We live in gray. We don't live in black and white. I've always felt, just in this situation of cancel culture, just like in politics, left versus right, any sort of commitment to the extreme belief in one side of anything is dangerous. Whether it's politics, if you're an extreme liberal or Democrat versus extreme Republican or right wing, extreme cancel versus not cancel, like it's dangerous. It's dangerous think. It's group think.
Well, it's dangerous not to be able to see the perspective of their side. You don't have to agree with it.
No.
But to not even be able to listen or see
And have the
perspective,
discussion. And the movie
that's
does
a dangerous place to be
a
as
great
a human
job
being.
of introducing that.
Yeah, I agree.
That point. So I like that for that. And then the other piece I really like you said, is her wrestling with her guilt about it all. Like, we all
Yeah.
make bad choices in our life. We all
Make
wrong
mistakes.
people.
Treat
it's-
people
now,
in
granted,
a way you regret.
The act of the sign of character is how you rebound from that, how you respond
How
to
you
it,
respond to it, yeah.
and learn from it. And we've seen people in cancel culture who've responded well, and folks who haven't. And this is her just sort of double downing. And again, part of it's human nature to retreat from it, to cover your tracks because you're scared. You know, and I think it did a really good job. Like, she's always running, right? She's always running from
Right.
from her worries.
Well, and I did like just the, you didn't know throughout the movie the redheaded person.
Yeah.
Because you didn't really understand that she was kind of preying on these young women at first for a while into the movie.
Yeah.
And then you realize that person is kind of haunting her, basically.
Yeah.
I
So,
mean,
and
but
that's what I
it's
meant
also,
about-
is it the person or is it her subconscious? Is it
Yeah,
her?
and that's what kind of like Black Swan, that I wish it sort of committed a bit harder to it, right?
Mhm.
Talked a little bit about being vague and Aftersun and ambiguousness. I don't want a Slate article saying, like, is this sort of all like in her head imagining the worst case scenario? That she's going to be conducting a video game score
Right.
orchestra in the future?
Right.
Like, kind of like Black Swan, where like she's turning into like she's getting feathers sprouting out of her back, right? By the end of the movie, tip your hand a little bit more. Like, the movie didn't have to be outwardly, oh, this is kind of a haunting ghost story, right?
Right.
It could give us one little glimpse of something a bit more extreme to say I think the Slate article said something about laying in an abandoned building, having her face being eaten by a dog.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, give us something of that scene to say there's something else happening here.
Right. Yeah. I agree,
because I think, like,
to me,
yeah.
it was just more of a white powerful person preying on other people, downfall from their power.
Yeah.
And there was other themes weaved in, and it was a woman, so it was different, and she was lesbian, so it was different. But I think that
last 15 minutes of her just sort of, she's at the bottom.
Yeah. And
let it be.
That made it better. It was really from her perspective and her descent.
But like I said, it's again, maybe props to the movie. You go along with it. She's like going down some river in Asia.
Yeah.
A boat, like, all of a sudden. But again, there's all these hints that maybe things are in her mind, because she talks about being in, they're not in the Amazon at the end, but at the beginning of the movie, it talks about the Amazon and these other cultures.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The movie starts very heavy, like just pure jargon and name dropping composer after composer and all these different classical music technical terms. And if you're not in that world, which I would say the majority of the viewing public isn't, I want to say it's a rough opening.
Yeah.
But it's interesting in the fact that,
people in.
hey, the first 10 minutes is her sitting on the stage showing how full of herself she is.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But it's a little hard to get you in at the beginning.
Yeah, it is. I don't know why I like this scene so much, but I did like the scene of watching her lay the albums out on the ground
at the very beginning
in her apartment.
And another woman's foot touches hers. You didn't see that?
No, her choosing the two albums.
Yes,
and
but that's her picking her
kind of next.
Well, the whole movie is leading up towards this recording of us. of a symphony.
Right. So she's kind of picking her inspirations, I guess,
Yeah.
for that symphony.
And her
But
possible cover, because
And then
they talk about the cover
she goes
later.
as far as to like make the same suit that
Yes.
the guy has on and pose in the same way
Right? Yeah.
for the picture.
The later on when she's sitting there in the auditorium.
And some of me felt like that. Like, does she not have her own identity? Is she like this? I feel like it was really symbolic of something.
Well,
I
think
haven't figured
everything in
it
the
out yet,
That's
but
what I mean.
it's
I
very
think
symbolic
I think it's
of
a movie like. Yeah, I agree. I think even though she
I'm
chastises,
just as good as these greats.
well, there's a lot of talk
you know.
about your own sort of take on the score, on the composition, right? Your own version of it.
Right.
There's a lot, but then you're living in the shadow of the past, and how do you stand out?
Right.
There's the talk about being raised by social media, the other opinions of the young people, like, oh, you're influenced by social media, but yeah, she's clearly influenced by those who came before her.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think there's a lot. I think there's so much happening in this movie.
It's definitely a movie you have to watch more than once
That-
to go back and
to be dissected and to really
pick up on all the
'cause
subtleties.
The article we read in Slate too talked about how, you know, your right hand keeps time with the
You're
music,
right.
and she talks all about that at the beginning, but then near the end of the movie, she has the shoulder problem,
Yep.
and she can no longer keep time properly, and then time starts being wacky in the film. I think there's a lot going on there. It's just, it's definitely a movie that if you're outside of that classical musical world, I don't know. It's one of those movies that's almost too smart for its own good.
It's not accessible to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I feel
No, it's
like.
not. And again, I
To the masses, which is why I think it could win.
Well, it's going to win Best Performance. It's not going to win Best Picture.
Oh, actress.
Yeah.
Best actress. It's not going to win Best Picture. You're right. It's not going to win Best Picture.
But I think it's a bold movie. I think it's a
definitely-
bold movie.
Could definitely win Best Actress.
Yeah.
She did an amazing job.
Yeah. Whew. I'm just thinking about our purchase, stream, and skip that we're about to do.
I know, but I'm going to have to take a break before that.
All right. So that's Tar.
Yeah, that's Tar.
And we're going to end our audio podcast.
I'm really having,
on purchase, stream, skip.
Pathetic, James. A real sucky baby.
So
Yeah.
So,
we just ended up talking about Infinity Pool,
Aftersun,
Aftersun,
and Tar.
and Tar. And so now we did that as a whole audio podcast.
I'm finishing my tacos.
Yeah, we just had some tacos. We're still at
Delish.
circa
And there's
1949,
a taco truck.
but we've changed our spot.
Because it's getting dark. And there's a light up
We're
here.
like 10 minutes away from the halftime show, FYI.
Yeah. There's Super Bowl going on inside.
So we talked about 3 films on this audio podcast episode. And now as we do, we need to do purchase, which means you would pay full price, whether a movie ticket, a VOD, video on demand,
Okay.
a rental fee, whatever it is. You'd pay money.
Mhm.
That's purchase, or you'd stream it based on whatever streaming service it's there. You're not going to incur an additional cost to see it.
Okay.
And then which movie would you skip and be like, look, out of these 3, I got to skip one. Who am I skipping? So
Okay.
I think we go from the bottom up. What are we
Oh,
skipping?
ooh, okay. Ooh.
What are we
You go
skipping?
first.
You want me to go 1st?
Uh-huh.
This might surprise you. Actually, it changed up until our podcast, our audio podcast.
Until our conversation.
Until our conversation, it changed.
Okay.
I'm skipping Aftersun.
I thought that's the one you were going to skip. That's not surprising to
Okay.
me.
So I'm skipping only because the reason I'm skipping Aftersun is though it has some interesting elements, it has a good performance, as like we said, in it. I feel out of everything we watched, these 3 movies we discussed, Infinity Pool, Aftersun, and Tar that it's the most forgettable. It's the one that 5 years from now, I'm going to struggle to remember more about it.
Okay.
So for that reason, if you have to skip one,
And I like how
I'm
you said
skipping
that.
Tar. I'm sorry, I'm skipping
I was
After
having
Sun.
a hard time with my last two, so I like when you said that 5 years from now.
Yeah.
You know. So
what are you skipping?
So I'm skipping Tar.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not saying there weren't good things in it. However, for me,
yeah. No, I understand that.
Like I said in the audio podcast, it's a movie about white privilege power, and it's
the downfall of a person you particularly don't care about.
Cate Blanchett's great.
It's hard to connect with that.
I enjoyed Aftersun, even though it can be semi-forgettable, but I enjoyed the process of watching it a lot more than I enjoyed Tar.
Yeah, I understand that.
So I would say you could skip Tar. It wouldn't ruin your life by not seeing it.
No,
You'll get that message in lots of other movies. Not as well, but you'll get it.
Tar is definitely more niche audience.
Well, see, you saying that is annoying because I'm going to say that, like, oh, it's more niche.
No, I don't mean it as an elitist thing. Like we said
in the audio thing, like, is it more niche because she's a woman? Is it more niche because
the classical music realm? Because it's really
less accessible
and
to
there's
people
not much
because
you connect with personally with the characters.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
that's what I mean by that. It's like it's a very like
her
if you want to have
performance is great, the perspective is great, the victim's perspective, descent into I liked all three of them.
I'm not saying we don't like any of these, but yeah.
But
all right, so what are you streaming then?
I'm streaming Aftersun.
All right. Yeah, so it's popping on. You're flipping around your streaming service that you pay monthly for.
And that would be a good...
You watch it.
Yeah, especially if I was like by myself or even with other people, like Friday night. I'm watching Aftersun and I'm feeling good about it.
What's just funny, I'm streaming Tar.
Oh, that's heavy.
But see, that's where I...
So
like, no, I said you need to see... I think Tar, because of the conversation with cancel culture... it's an interesting
conversation is everywhere right now.
I know, but it's an interesting movie to see right now because of that. But before our conversation, I was skipping Tar.
Yeah.
But when we talked,
really?
yeah, but and I was streaming Aftersun. But as we talked about it, we struggled to have a conversation about Aftersun.
I actually thought Tar was going to be your pay money for it.
No, so you know what I'm saying?
And
like
I like Tar.
Aftersun, we were like, okay. What else is there to say? Like we talked about it for sure, but
yeah, but
we had a more meaningful conversation
about Tar.
But
my enjoyment.
You got fired up about Tar, so I'm like, okay, if you get fired up and want to talk about something, maybe that's the movie you should see. See what other people see.
What fires me up is the people that think it's so niche because it's a musician, because it's a woman, because it's lesbian.
No, I think it's.
But the message is the fucking same. Oh. I said the F word.
I think it's her.
The same thing.
I think it's her performance.
I agree. Her performance is great.
Yes.
Yes.
Cate Blanchett makes the movie. It doesn't work without a superb performance.
I agree.
And her performance is top notch.
I agree with that. And that's why I really, really liked it. But for me, if I want to be honest, what's my movie I enjoyed watching the most? It wasn't Tar.
Right. So the one we're paying the most money to see.
Infinity Pool. Which did pay the most money to see because we saw it in the theater.
Well, it's funny. My friend I was talking to about this the other day.
Do you think the theater...
He was like, so
does it have a theater effect?
I think...
The fact that we saw it in the theater?
The fact that you could see a movie in a theater like that's a little weird and different, for sure.
No. What I'm saying is, do you think we feel the same way about it because we saw it in the theater versus sitting at home?
I mean, I think it helped the viewing, sure. But I think at the end of the day, the movie that's the most provocative, the most original, the most really trying to do something different is Infinity Pool.
Definitely.
That was my problem with Aftersun.
Sure.
Aftersun tried to do something kind of different and just floundered.
Agreed.
It fumbled it. To bring our Super Bowl metaphor in here.
Yeah.
But Infinity Pool my friend was like, when I was talking to him that we saw the movie the night before, he was like, so was it worth the $20
Yeah.
you and the wife dropped to see it? I'm like, $20 and then some.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
For sure.
So this is what you purchase, whatever the
definitely
price
think
is.
It's worth the $20.
You buy
And
you pay it for Infinity Pool.
The cherry Coke and
Yeah.
soda.
And I think it's so much you buy Infinity Pool and Possessor, and you just watch both of them back to back.
That would be a good podcast episode.
You go full in Cronenberg. That might be a Pine Lake Cinema night.
Ooh, that might be.
People might start coming.
Pine Lake Cinema, here we come.
All right. So that was that. That's the podcast. We're at the end. I don't have a glass to cheers you at the end of this audio podcast because our guy
Can you
took it.
cheers with the popcorn bowl?
No, we're
Yeah,
just
you can.
no, we're not gonna.
It's a tradition.
Nope.
You have to.
No, I'll just cheers you with
All
my
right,
mic.
I'll cheers it. Ready? Oh, Mike. Mike cheers.
Let's hear
do
our
a
Mike
Mike
cheers.
cheers.
All right.
Ready? Cheers.
Yeah, I picked up. All right. Bye.
Bye.